What's up, y'all? So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to actually EQ. So it's a little more advanced technique, but how to equalize is what EQ stands for. Any specific instruments or vocals for any of you sound technicians out there. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Okay, so just like the last video, we have just some audio coming in from that computer over there into this soundboard. So when I turn up this main, it's as though we had some people playing up there. So right now we've got sort of a basic mix. We've got drums, obviously. You've got bass. You've got two vocalists and an acoustic guitar. So that's really all we have going on here. So we've got, again, that's the drums. We have the bass. There's no keys in this mix. There's an acoustic guitar right here. And then there are two vocal tracks right here and here. So when we turn those up, you can hear they get a lot louder. So the first thing you always want to do is just volume balance everything. So right now I kind of feel like the drums are pretty overpowering. So what we're gonna do is go to channel 1 to 8, and I'm just gonna turn down the kick and the snare. And I'm just going to turn all the drums down a little bit. And I might have turned it down just a hair too much. So I'll bring it up just a little bit. And I feel like that bounce is pretty good for where the drums are concerned. Now I'll dial in the bass around that. I like my bass a little thicker, so I usually turn up, when I'm doing it, my bass a little hotter. All right, not bad. Now, page over here to the acoustic guitar. I'm gonna bring that up a little bit too, so we're kind of losing that. And then I'm gonna bring the lead vocal up, which is in vocal 2. Because you want him definitely to sit in front of the mix. So I'm going to turn that up. I'm going to actually turn the backing vocal down just a hair. So hopefully you can hear through this little mic. That's a pretty decent mix. So now we're gonna do a little bit of EQ. So what I'm gonna specifically do in this mix is, hopefully you can hear it, but on that lead vocal, it sounds a little kind of nasally. It's like, the reason for that is because the EQ, there's some frequencies in kind of the mid-range that are popping a little too hard. And so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna find this this vocal track. So we're we're here is channel 1724, and it's actually, so we're actually already on it. It's this vocal 2. So when you take this down, that lead vocal goes away. So hopefully you can hear that just nasally sound. What we're gonna do is we're gonna select that track, which we already have it. And now we're gonna come over here and look at this EQ. So how you manipulate this is through this equalizer right here. Now what I'm looking for specifically is to just try to find that frequency and take it out. So how this EQ works is we're gonna bring up the gain of this high, actually let's do the low mid band, and then we're gonna turn up the gain. So you'll see how that low mid band, when I turn this up and down, so that's what I'm doing, I'm turning it up and down, it's turning that up and down on the EQ. Now, I can also, just so you can see it better, page over to the EQ, and now you can see it on a bigger screen. So again, I'm gonna turn up and down right there. And now you should be able to hear that frequency of his voice a lot louder. So to really illustrate this point, I'm gonna take out the drums, I'm gonna take out the bass and the guitars. So now we basically are only hearing what's coming through the vocal tracks. And I'm actually just gonna take out the backing track too. So we're just messing with his vocal. Now, when I move this frequency knob, so right there you see it says frequency, that's gonna move where this is boosting volume. So that peak right here, that means it's boosting volume, but only in a specific frequency range. So left, super low frequency range, right, high frequency range. So listen as I go back and forth on this frequency, we're turning it up 15 decibels. So we're really turning it up. And you should hear that effect on that vocal that's like. Let's do it one more time. So I'm going to go out to the top.
Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart.
Now, hopefully you can hear that. And then what I'm specifically listening for is any what they call offending, quote unquote, offending frequencies. And the specific one I'm hearing is right there. It just really,
open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my
you can hear right at that range, it just sounds really nasally.
I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you.
Where is it?
To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing
It's right about 532. And a lot of times vocals are going to have a pretty nasty sound right in that 500 range. And so you can, most vocals, and now what I'm doing is I'm turning that gain down. So I turned it up to find the frequency, and now I'm turning it way down. And then that's going to cut out that frequency. And then that makes his voice sound a lot more natural. And I'm not going to do quite that much. I turned it down 11 decibels. I'm going to do maybe more like 8. Cool. And then if you wanted to, you could turn up maybe, we're going to go to the high one. So we just selected that 4. And now when we move these knobs, we're affecting a different band. So we can play with this Q right there, which makes the band bigger or smaller. So I'm going to broaden it up and just boost the highs just a little bit. And that just kind of brings out like the sibilance, so the T's and the T's, and it just brightens his voice up a little bit. So that's with nothing. And then brightening it up a little bit. And you can just hear it kind of creates a little bit more clarity in his voice. So now that we've done that, let's bring in all the tracks back in. Now that I'm hearing it in context, it sounds almost a little too high, so I think I'm actually going to take that back down. Take that. We had boosted it a little bit, but I'm going to take that back down because I feel like that sounds more natural. And that's ultimately the goal. With EQing, guys, what you really want to think about is that you want each instrument, you want each voice to sound natural. And so when we are EQing, we're not EQing just to try to, create some sort of creative sound necessarily. What we're really trying to do is eliminate any frequencies that just sound a little bizarre or harsh to the ear, or what's actually taking away from the natural sound of a voice or an instrument. This is really common with microphones and things, because when you have a microphone amplifying someone's voice, it's going to bring out specific frequency ranges that we don't necessarily want to hear. So that's why we have to EQ it so that it can just, sound better. What's up, dude? Everyone say hi to Pastor Dave.
Oh, we're recording.
What up?
Dave has something to chime in for this.
You have above average IQ for the EQ. You got this. That's all I got.
That's wise words.
All right, brother.
All right, man. See ya. So that's basically a quick crash course on how you EQ. There's I mean, honestly, you could learn so much about EQ and hearing frequencies. It takes a long time to develop the ear for it. But this is just a little overview so that if you hear a specific frequency in your mix that sounds harsh or whatever, you can just, go into the equalization settings and pull out that frequency of whatever instrument is creating that sound. A lot of times, for example, there might be, if you have like an electric guitar on a song, let's go to 9 to 16. One thing that's fairly common, if we're having an electric guitar, you might boost that. And if we select this, a lot of times what happens in the EQ for an electric guitar is this range right in like the 2K to the 4K can be really, that's like a very piercing sound. Those are very harsh frequencies. And so a lot of times in an electric guitar, what you could do is, go to your high mids, and we could just turn down the gain of probably more, right now we're at the 2K, but I'm just going to bring it up a little bit to like that 3K/3, almost 4K range, just right in there. And a lot of times I can take down the harshness of an electric guitar sound. So you won't necessarily need it, but again, it just depends on the guitar sound, the mix, how it's actually sounding within the context of who you have worshiping with you. The last thing I'll say on that is that there's no one size fits all. It's not like, you can just get some settings down and that's going to be right for every service. The reality is different people have different voices. And so one EQ for my voice is not going to sound the same on a woman's voice because our voices are different. And so different frequencies in our voices sound very different with each other. So you got to get used to hearing the frequencies within someone's voices and knowing what frequencies need to be pulled out. And that takes practice. But again, this is just a quick crash course. And if you want to learn more about that, I just recommend, YouTubing how to identify frequencies in people's voices or how to EQ, basically. So that's basically it for this video. This is how to EQ, and I'll also make one on how to use compression and then how to do some reverb and that sort of stuff to ultimately dial in the mix and get a really nice overall sound. All right, hope this helps, and I'll see you later. Peace.